So in the month of August, I received a dozen dividend payments from some awesome companies like Proctor and Gamble, Lowe's, Starbucks, and for the first time ever, Williams-Sonoma. In this video, we're gonna go through each of these payments and add them all up to reveal my total dividend income for the month, which was so close to hitting a new income record. But anyway, we'll look at that and I'll also show you my total income received so far in 2023. But before we get to all that, in case you're new to the channel, my name is Ryan Williams, and here we strictly talk about dividend stocks and how you can invest in them to create passive income and reach financial freedom. So if you love dividend stocks and if you're on a mission to retire early, then hit that subscribe button. I'd love to stay in touch as we both continue to grow our portfolios and collect that cash flow. Speaking of which, leave me a comment below and let me know which stocks paid you a dividend this month. I'd be curious to hear if we have any of the same ones. Anyway, the first payment I received this month came from AT&T, who paid me $28.19, and AT&T's not really having the best month or the best year. Just in the last 30 days, AT&T is down about 4.25%, and then if we look at the year-to-date performance, they are down closer to like 25%, so pretty big drops in both cases, but it has them sitting pretty close to their 52-week low, which is nice, and the overall valuation is looking pretty dang cheap. Their PE ratio is only about 5.8. But anyway, taking a look at my position, I have 101.5 shares of AT&T at an average cost that is quite a bit above the current share price. $21.70 is my average cost, which means I am down like 35%. AT&T is easily one of my worst performing positions, which is not unlike this next stock that paid me a dividend. We're talking about Verizon, who paid me $28.62, which brings the total so far in August to $56.81. Like I said, guys, Verizon is also one of my worst performing positions. In fact, out of all the stocks in my portfolio, this is the one that I'm currently down the most on. Looking at my position, I have just under 44 shares of Verizon at an average cost of $51.40. So as you can see, that puts me down about 35%, just a little bit more than my AT&T losses. Anyway, switching gears, getting into the third payment I received, this one came from JEPI, who paid me $6.41, bringing my total so far for the month to $63.22, and this is the fourth month in a row that we've seen a declining dividend from JEPI. Looking at the dividend history, pretty much from April on, the dividend payments have just been getting lower and lower every single month, and this most recent payment of 29 cents per share is basically half of what we were receiving back at the end of 2022. We were getting 57 cents per share there in December. But this just comes with the territory, guys. A fluctuating dividend is just one of the risks that comes with investing in these covered call ETFs like JEPI that pay a variable dividend. It'll go up, it'll go down, and we've seen JEPI do exactly that over the last few years. And because the dividend from JEPI does vary on a month-to-month basis, I knew I didn't want to make this a large position in my portfolio, and it's really not. I only have 22 shares of JEPI, which makes up about 2.5% of my portfolio, so a very small allocation. But what I do have, I am down a little bit on. I'm down about 9%, but I will say the distributions I've received from this position more than make up for the share price losses, so that's good. Anyway, moving on to the fourth payment I received in August. This one came from Lowe's, one of my favorite high-growth dividend stocks, who paid me $16.69, bringing our total so far to $79.91. And as opposed to AT&T, like we saw earlier, Lowe's is actually having a pretty good year so far. I mean, in the last month, they are down a bit, down about 4%, but if we look at the year-to-date performance, they're still up 12%, so things are looking pretty good. And with that, as I'm sure you can imagine, my position is looking really good right now. I currently have about 15 shares of Lowe's at an average cost of $194.96, so I'm still up nearly 14.5%, and Lowe's is actually one of the biggest positions in my portfolio. If we look at my portfolio's diversification, Lowe's is my fourth largest position behind Procter and Gamble, Starbucks, and Johnson & Johnson, and it currently makes up just over 7% of my total weighting. It'd be more too if Lowe's would have stayed closer to my average cost per share, and I'd love to buy more shares of this company if the share price were to somehow get back under, about $200 per share, which I certainly think is possible. But anyway, moving on to the next payment I received, this one came from Enterprise Products Partners, EPD, who paid me $37.42, bringing our total so far in the month across the three-figure mark to $117.33. And I actually added quite a bit more to my Enterprise Products Partners position earlier this month. We can see that on the very first day in August, I added 12 shares to this bad boy, which is the first time that I added any more EPD in over a year. And looking at my overall position, I have 86.8 shares of EPD at an average cost of $23.05. So that leaves me right now with about a 14% gain. Things are still looking pretty good. And with that, the next payment I received came from none other than Realty Income, who paid me, I believe, my first double-digit dividend payment from this company. They paid me $10.25, bringing my total for the month so far to $127.58. And if you saw my last video, you'll know that Realty Income is another one that I've been buying lately, as its share price has really been taking a hit. Just in the last 30 days, Realty Income is down double digits, almost 11.5%, so quite a substantial drop. And if we look at their year-to-date performance, they're down about 12.25%. So most of these losses in 2023 2023 have come just in the last month. And like I said, in August, I added a bit more to my realty income position. In total, I picked up 7 shares, which leaves me with a total of 47.1 shares of realty income at an average cost of $57.23. So I'm officially in the red right now with realty income. I'm down about 2%, but it's all good. Anyway, moving on, the next payment that I received came from Main Street Capital Corporation, who paid me $9.03, which brings the total so far in August to $136.61. And like realty income, Main Street saw a pretty decent drop this month. Just in the last 30 days, Main Street is down exactly 5%, but looking at their year-to-date performance, they are still in the green, up nearly 9%. And taking a quick look at my position, I have 39.2 shares of Main Street Capital Corporation at an average cost of $38.88. So the current share price is not too far above my average cost. I'm only up about 2.3%. Nothing too crazy. Anyway, next up, we are talking about Proctor and Gamble, who paid me a whopping $24.50 in August, bringing my total for the month to $161.11. And right now, Proctor and Gamble is my largest position, currently making up about 8.4% of my portfolio's overall weighting. And looking at my position, I have just about 26 shares of this Dividend King at an average cost of $138.87. So right now, I'm up about 5.5%, and my overall market value with Procter & Gamble is less than $1 shy of $4,000, as you can see right there. Anyway, moving on, the next payment that I received came from AbbVie, who paid me $14.88, bringing my total so far to just a penny short of $176. And AbbVie's not a huge position of mine, but it is one of my better performers. I have just about 10 shares of this company at an average cost of $114.20. And looking at the gain right there, I'm sitting pretty. I'm up about 28.5%. Nice. And now, guys, this brings us to the 10th payment that was received in August, which was paid by none other than Apple, a whopping $1.59, bringing the total to $177.58. And Apple's actually had a pretty terrible month. Just in the last 30 days, they are down about 8%, so a pretty substantial drop for Apple, but they are still up a very decent amount so far in 2023, about 43%. And as far as my position goes, it's kind of a similar story as AbbVie. It's not a huge position of mine at all, but it is easily one of my best performers. As you can see, I have 6.6 shares of Apple at an average cost of about $129.50, which leaves me with about a 38% gain, so it's looking pretty good, guys. And like Apple, this next company, which is one of my favorites, Starbucks, also had a pretty cruddy month, which we'll take a look at in just a moment, but Starbucks paid me $20.45 in August, bringing our total just a couple dollars shy of $200 for the month, $198.03. And like I said, Starbucks has been in the red this last month. They are down about 7.25%, which officially puts them in the red for the year. In 2023, they are down 5.3%. And as far as my position goes, I have 38.5 shares of Starbucks at an average cost of $89.95. And thankfully, I'm still in the green. I'm still up about 6%. And although Starbucks is already my second largest position, making up nearly 8% of my portfolio, if it were to dip back down under $90 per share, I would definitely swoop up some more shares. And with that, guys, that brings us to the last payment I received in August, which came for the first time ever from Williams-Sonoma, who paid me $4.50. And Williams-Sonoma has been on an absolute tear. We can see just in the last month, they were up nearly 8%, a big jump right here after they reported their quarterly earnings. But looking at their year-to-date performance, this leaves them with a 23% gain. And looking at my overall position, I have 18 shares of Williams-Sonoma. I've been buying pretty aggressively almost every single week, but right now with this huge jump in the last month, my position's up about 5.5%. And with that $4.50 that I got from Williams-Sonoma, that brings the total for the month of August to $202.53, which is only the second time I've been able to cross the $200 mark. The last time I did that was back in November of last year, where I brought in $217.19, which still is my all-time income record. But anyway, this month's income represents a 5% jump compared to this time last year, where I brought in $192.93. So not a huge jump, but we'll take it, guys. And with all of this month's payments, that brings my year-to-date income so far to $1,382.13, which is about 22.7% more than my year-to-date income for the first 8 months of 2022, where I brought in $1,126. And so now that we've taken a look at all of my payments from this last month, I want to switch gears and show you which companies are going to be paying me in this upcoming month here in September. And to do this, we are going to be using the payout calendar tool on the dividendtracker.com, which you can start using for free to start tracking your portfolio. There is a link to it in the description of this video. I think you'll enjoy it. But anyway, in September, I'll be getting a payment from Johnson & Johnson, about $26 there, it looks like. Chevron will also be paying about $20. The Main Street Capital Corporation just under $20, which makes me think they probably have a special dividend coming in September, which will be nice. Snap-on, I'll be getting about $14.50. Southern Company, $12.50. Realty Income, about $12, because I just picked up some more shares not too long ago, so that income's going to keep going up. Looks like I'll be getting a special dividend from Blue Owl Capital Corporation. Their normal dividend will come in October, but the special will come in September. September. Intel will be paying me almost $8, and also, you know, this may fluctuate, but I should be getting about $6.50 from JEPI. And with that, guys, my total income for the month of September is estimated to be about $128, which is quite a bit lower than my estimated income reading from Charles Schwab, who says I should be receiving about $150 for the month, and at least part of the discrepancy here is because of 3M. 3M is paying their dividend on September 12th, and I was getting about $18 or so in dividends from them before I sold not too long ago, so Charles Schwab just hasn't updated the numbers in the app yet to adjust for the sale. But anyway, back to the dividend tracker, looking at the weekly breakdown for all of these payments. The first week of September is looking to be a bit light. We have Intel and JEPI both paying, but then the second and third weeks of September start to pick up. We'll be getting about $39 in total for the second week from Johnson & Johnson and Southern Company, and we'll be getting about $64 in the third week of September from these companies right here: Chevron, Snap-on, Main Street, Realty Income, and Blue Owl. And then after that, we'll be closing out the month of September with another dividend payment coming in from Main Street. So Main's first payment is going to be coming right here on September 15th. But then, guys, they've got that special dividend they'll be paying a couple weeks later, it looks like on the 27th, which will be even more than the normal dividend. And with that, guys, if you're in the market for some cheap dividend stocks, then check out this next video right over here where I'm telling you about 3 of them, all of which look like great pickups as we head into September. So click right over here to check them out, and I'll see you in the next one.